And we have a lot of like progression related changes in this update, like a huge list. But we'll just take an overview of them, and since it's so much, you will definitely have to read the patch notes to find everything out. But maybe Dennis can highlight a few here and there. So let's talk about some price changes.
All right, so yeah, price changes basically across the board. This is something we've also been kind of like discussing for a time now, and discuss, okay, how do we want to reflect the trends on the meta side, like how are people using certain items, either the frequency or just how effective they are in general, how we feel the relevant value to them. So this primarily is about weapons and custom ammo. And we've kind of upgraded or made some a bit more expensive, made some a bit more cheaper. The gist of it is basically, again, that we wanted to have a number of weapons that are kind of a bit used to a bit too much go up in price. As an example, and again, there's more on the list, so please, again, later on refer to the full patch notes as we release more information about it as we get closer to the test server. But one of them is the Lebel Marksman and the Mosin sniper rifle. So both of those just get a bit of a price bump, just bringing them closer. I think, like, if I'm recalling correctly, like the Mosin sniper is now going to 730, so that's quite a big jump up. Is something we feel is appropriate, because we want that to be not like as common as it might be at the moment. However, it doesn't mean like the entire like Mosin Nagant or the entire Lebel family goes up. So specifically those two variants we're talking about. That's just one example. We also have things going in a different direction. For example, we have the Terminus actually going down in price quite a bit. Again, refer to the patch notes for all the details, but I think it drops by at least 100 compared to what it is at the moment, and that makes the whole thing maybe a bit more attractive. Other weapons will go up a little bit. Call for conversion, the base version still is going to be a cheap weapon, but it goes like from like 20 something to 50 something. So it's just minor stuff here and there. And also we're bringing down and bringing up some of the custom ammo prices as well, depending again on usage effectiveness. So just expect like a bigger change, a bigger sweep across the arsenal. Some things become cheaper, some things become more expensive. And it's mostly around how people are using certain equipment and how we would like to maybe promote some of the alternatives more.
Sounds great, and can't wait to try them as well and see how people maybe take different loadouts now. But there's also some other price-rated changes.
Yes, so this is also a bit of a quality of life change. It's something we couldn't really do before, but we've kind of, as we did these like price changes, we kind of like worked a little bit on that part as well. So if a weapon has 2 ammo slots, that means like the total pool of ammunition is divided between these 2 slots. But so far we have been kind of charging the player the full price. So like if you were, for example, to take a Berthier and wanted to use it only with Spitzer ammunition, you had to buy 2 packs of Spitzer ammunition, which would top up the weapon to almost the same or even more than the price of the base weapon would be, which is kind of huge. So at least in this case, we take into account that you only get half the ammunition anyway, so it's also only half the price. So that makes some of the weapons like the Romero, for example, or Martini Henry, other weapons a bit more interesting when it comes to picking secondary ammo types and kind of split up between maybe regular ammunition and bringing one set of smaller like I don't know, explosive. In case of the Martini Henry is a good one, or with the Romero maybe slugs. But if you want to basically upgrade the whole thing, you will still be in the same price range as if you were to change ammunition on any other weapon that has a single slot.
Awesome. And again, please refer to the patch notes to read the whole list, because it's a long list of price changes. But it's actually not just the price changes that change, but trait changes in terms of upgrade points.
So yeah, for the traits, again, we also kind of looked a little bit about like which traits are being used a lot. You saw that a little bit when I just talked about the gameplay changes. We also applied to some of them. But in general, many of the traits went either up by 1 point or went down by 1 point. So expect some of your favorites maybe to become a bit more expensive, and some of those you think are kind of like overpriced to now finally maybe becoming a bit cheaper. But overall, we don't really move more than 1 point either up or down. There's one exception, that's Bullet Grubber, that I can call out maybe on that one, that goes down by 2 points from 6 to 4, just to make it a bit more attractive, especially since we added a couple patches back. We added like the option to kind of interrupt your reload by keeping the fire button pressed, pressing reload, time it well, and you can kind of like very smoothly reload without having to waste a bullet. So with that feature in place, like Bullet Grubber has seen a little bit of a decline as people have learned just to use that technique without it. So the change kind of reflects that.
Cool. Bullet Grabber is one of my favorite traits. It's definitely the coolest trait, so that sounds great. And what other progression changes do we have done? Which is also kind of a big one.
Yeah, so we kind of moved around the unlock order of a couple of things, and so this is mostly about like traits and weapons and equipment, obviously. The idea here has been, again, with onboarding in mind. So that's like, how can we ensure that like new players have more valuable, more meaningful options earlier on? Don't have to wait for Doctor for too long, for example. And also that equipment-wise, we have a couple of weapons being available a little bit earlier compared to what they are at the moment. So one example is that the Terminus and the Martini Henry both are moving to a very early unlock rank. So definitely within trainee mode. Just to make sure there's both a second shotgun and also a long ammo option available much earlier. Consequently, maybe some of the weapons that originally were around that area, like the Vetterli, might have pushed back just slightly. So things have been reorganized a little bit. Quartermaster is a bit like earlier now. Doctor, as I mentioned, is a bit earlier, and a couple others as well. So overall, the whole thing feels a bit a bit more nicely spaced out. And I think, especially also maybe prestiging players will kind of like that a little bit, seeing some of these options a bit earlier, mixing things up.
Definitely. And once again, just to mention it, please refer to the patch notes or, when you're trying it out on the test servers later on to see these changes, because there's quite a few of them for real. So it was actually such a long list that it made absolutely no sense to put it in here.
No.
Yeah.
Again, like the patch notes will give you full details. Also, they will have dev notes as usual in there for some of the bigger features. So we talk about the Stalker Beetle, etc., so that you guys have a chance to just understand the reasoning about some of the decisions, etc. And yeah, again, feedback on test server then very much needed, very much appreciated, and also obviously we kind of like want to lure you a little bit on test server because we want that coverage there. So that's why we don't give away too much, because we want you guys to really find out by yourself, untainted, get it all there, and give us and share with us your first-hand experiences.
Yes, definitely. But we still have some other changes to mention as a highlight for this update. So what is this?
So yeah, so far in Bounty Hunts, we did not have any option to really give you any new consumables, except for when they were randomly given to you as part of the loot interactions, like either on Hunter or with the item boxes. What we've been adding now is that there are specific locations in the map where there is a chance now for some of the things you normally can't get from a toolbox to also spawn in the world. This is rare, this is not guaranteed, but we want to encourage you, for example, to try and check out the big towers a little bit more often, or the small towers even. There's also a chance to find that a little bit somewhere else, here and there, like we do with the weapons, just occasionally, but for the most part, like check and keep an closer eye out for the towers, and you might discover one or two things around there.
Yes, thank you for the little teaser for that too. And again, the patch notes will actually be extremely long when they come out around the test server. So in this case, I would really highly recommend for you guys to read it, because there's a lot of other details and other important information for you to know. And then please also jump on the test servers for us and test this update out.